Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new video on my channel. After having a lot of Kagurabachi content as of late on my channel, I wanted to try and do something else. We still have the Mario and Luigi Journey series running on my channel as well, so you can check that out if you want. Speaking of which, today we're going to talk about the current state of Mario RPGs in general. I know that's probably the billionth time you've seen these types of videos, but I still felt like I had to voice my own statement on that, so without further ado, let's begin. Mario RPGs are a phenomenon. They come and go whenever they want. It's crazy that it's been going on like that for 20 plus years now, am I right? The Mario RPGs have been living through a resurgence for almost a year now. We all remember that legendary June Direct of last year where they announced a bunch of games during the presentation, and one of the games was a remake of Super Mario RPG, something that no one expected to happen as it seemed like Nintendo and Square forgot about the game. But it seems like they didn't forget about the pillar that started moving the RPG genre of Mario that would later on build an unforgettable legacy among Mario games. Generally speaking, up until that point, Mario RPGs were pretty much dead, with Mario plus Rabbids being the only quote-unquote Mario RPG series going on, but I'm glad they didn't abandon the other Mario RPG series entirely as of now. Today, we're going to talk about the three Mario RPG series that we all know and love, starting off with Super Mario RPG. Super Mario RPG originally came out near the end of the SNES lifecycle and was the first Mario RPG to ever release. The game itself sold 2.14 million units in Japan, the US and Canada, which makes it the top 20 most selling game of all the SNES games. Unfortunately for us Europeans, the game never saw the light of day in our region. However, 27 years later, on June 21st, 2023, during a Nintendo Direct, Nintendo made a cool and very surprising announcement of a Super Mario RPG remake. This was the first spark that we saw at the end of the long and dark tunnel that gave us hope for Mario RPGs becoming a staple thing of all the Mario spin-offs Nintendo has to offer. The game got many quality of life changes, including fast traveling and easier timed action commands that enhanced the playthrough experience of the game, as well as post-game content that wasn't there in the original, and I really enjoyed it from the beginning to the end. As of now, it sold 3.31 million copies worldwide and was a success, which makes it the fourth most selling Mario RPG of all time. I feel like now that Super Mario RPG got a bit more popular through its release on the Nintendo Switch, it definitely has the potential of getting a sequel, considering it did well sales-wise, and me thinking that there are some things that you could do for the next game, which I will talk about in another video. But for now, only time will tell. And now, let's get into what I consider to be the problem child of the Mario RPGs. The Paper Mario series first debuted on the N64 with Paper Mario as its first title. It was initially supposed to be a follow-up of Super Mario RPG that came out for the SNES, but with Square Enix, formerly Square, and Nintendo having a bit of differences in the past, the sequel got cancelled and Nintendo, or Intelligent Systems in that case, had to make a brand new game. So they decided to create a new Mario RPG game called Paper Mario, or in Japan, Mario Story. It sold a total of 1.37 million copies and was enough for Nintendo to greenlight a new game. 2004, they would release Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, a sequel to the original game on the Nintendo 64, and it became the most beloved game of the franchise, being the quote-unquote holy grail of the series. It sold 1.91 million copies and was more successful than the first game. From here on out is where the series started to change a little. 2 years later, during the E3 of 2006, Nintendo announced the next installment of the Paper Mario series called Super Paper Mario. It wasn't what people expected it to be, after people thinking the third entry would also be an RPG. It was more like a platformer with RPG elements, and the game was originally supposed to come out on the GameCube, but with the Wii on the horizon, they decided to push it back as a title of the Wii. It sold a total of 4.23 million copies, which makes it the most successful entry of the series sales-wise by a long march. The next entry, however, is what people consider to be the beginning of the end. The next title in the series is what started to divide the community in half. The game is called Paper Mario Sticker Star and was nothing like the previous entries of the series. Now, I won't go into detail as of why the game was nothing like the other titles, since I want to dedicate this topic a separate video, but long story short, this game wasn't an RPG anymore, just like Super Paper Mario was only a platformer with RPG elements instead of a full-on RPG game. The game itself sold decently with 2.49 million copies worldwide, but it still got mixed receptions from the players. As this game is considered to be the low point of the series, the next entry did a few things a little bit better, but was still shaky in some respects, in my opinion of course. Also topic for another video. Paper Mario Color Splash was the 5th entry of the series, and it was... well, it was basically called Sticker Star 2 by many people, for good reasons if I'm being honest. It sold terribly with 870,000 copies in total, but that was also because no one bought the Wii U back in the dark days of Nintendo, and the Switch was on the horizon at that time, so yeah, barely no one bought it because it came out on a terribly marketed console. Otherwise, I think it would have done better. But now, let's get into the current entry of the series. Paper Mario The Origami King is the newest game in the series and had the fan base cowering in shambles, but also jumping up in the air out of happiness. It came out on July 17th, 2020 during the pandemic, and the game itself sold pretty well with 3.47 million copies worldwide and being the second most successful Paper Mario entry right behind Super Paper Mario. I'd say it's definitely better than the 2 previous entries that we got, as Nintendo sort of brought back some elements people were asking for, like partners and badges or equipments in this case. The story itself also became a bit better, even though it doesn't compare to the story of Super Paper Mario, for example. Now for my final verdict on how the series will fare as of now. The series currently is in a pickle, but also in an opportunity, because we, as the fan base, could potentially save Paper Mario. We all know, as of writing the script of this video, the TDYD remake is releasing in exactly a week from now, which is baffling to me, but I digress. If the remake of the game sells well, we could see a proper new and back to the roots entry of the series, just how 64 and 1000 Year Door used to be. So if you want the series to go back to its RPG roots, I highly recommend you buying the game if you really want it to do well. This is our only chance of showing Nintendo that we want Paper Mario to be an RPG series again. So if you hold this series dear to you and want it to go back, buy it. That's all there is to. And now, let's talk about the Mario RPG series that hasn't seen the light of day for quite some time now.
Let's go! Okie dokie.
The Mario & Luigi series is currently a series consisting of 5 games and 2 remakes, which all came out on handhelds. The first game, being Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, came out on the Game Boy Advance and sold a total of 2.15 million copies, which marked the beginning of a new series in the library of Nintendo's IPs. Later in 2005, Nintendo announced that a new Mario & Luigi game is going to release on the Nintendo DS. Its name was going to be Mario & Luigi Partners in Time, and it sold a bit worse than the prequel with 1.73 million copies, which was still enough for Nintendo to greenlight another entry, and this one would blow up every expectations Nintendo had on the series. During E3 of 2009, Nintendo came out and announced the 3rd entry of the Mario & Luigi series called Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, and this one sold a whopping 4.56 million copies in total, which till this day makes it the most successful Mario RPG of all time and the most successful entry of the series. After this kind of success, Nintendo definitely didn't want to stop there. Mario & Luigi Dream Team is the 4th entry of the series and was announced during the E3 of 2013 and was definitely a hype moment for me as a kid that already got in touch with the series through Bowser's Inside Story. It sold a total of 2.70 million copies, which is still a decent amount of sales. I still enjoyed the game quite a lot, and retrospectively speaking, the only issue I have with it is its pacing. But now, let's move on to the decline of the series. Mario & Luigi Paper Jam is the 5th entry of the series and it only sold 1.08 million copies, which in comparison to other entries is the worst selling one if we're counting out the remakes, which I'll get into soon. Paper Jam has mostly done this bad because of how unoriginal the plot, the characters and the locations were, so the same problem Paper Mario Sticker Star had. Oh boy, Sticker Star fans won't like this video. But let's get into the worst matter at hand. The Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story remake both sold terribly, and with terribly I mean worse than Color Splash, with Superstar Saga only selling 510,000 copies and Bowser's Inside Story selling 34,000 copies, which makes this remake the worst selling Mario game of all time. It's funny how the best selling game of the series is also the worst selling one at the same time, kinda ironic if you ask me. The Superstar Saga remake came out in 2017 and Bowser's Inside Story remake came out in 2018, or respectively for our region in Europe in 2019. Now, as to why it sold badly and why the series went through such a decline is another topic for a different video to discuss about. But anyways, here's where we're getting to the interesting part of the video. The Mario and Luigi series has been in a pickle for quite some time now, and we still don't have any news regarding a new entry or at least a remake to an older game or some sort of collection that we could get on the Nintendo Switch. The company behind the Mario and Luigi series unfortunately went bankrupt, and people are now thinking that the series is dead and will never return anymore. But hear me out, and this is the reason why I actually made this video. I think that the series is not dead. I repeat, the series is not dead. There are some reasons why I think that, of course, and we will get into it right now. The first reason for that is because, first of all, Nintendo doesn't abandon franchises just like that. I know Mario & Luigi has never been a system seller or a series that sold 10+ million copies per entry and brought a massive amount of money into Nintendo's bank account, but if we look at the total sales numbers of the series, then we can see that it sold a total of 12.76 million copies, which is a very good number for such a niche series. I mean, you have to think about it, Mario spin-offs never sold many numbers. With the exception of Mario Kart, because it's, well, Mario Kart, you know. The second reason is that we've gotten a Super Mario RPG and Thousand Year Door remake, and if both of these games can come back, then why not Mario and Luigi? They deserve as much love as the other two titles too. Now I know, this reason sounds more like some fanboy yapping on the internet, but hear me out once again. My third and final reason would be the recent survey we've gotten from Nintendo around a month ago, where they asked us how we think about Mario RPGs. And they not only included Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario, but also Mario and Luigi into their survey. And the questions they asked were very specific, asking us about the battle system, original characters, a good story, and so on. So they really went into detail with this one. Now you may ask me what a survey has to do with all of this, and I once again ask you to hear me out, okay? So in the past, Nintendo did make some surveys about specific games, and the youngest example I can think of is the WarioWare survey, where they asked us if we would pay $50 for a new WarioWare title. And lo and behold, a new WarioWare title has been announced a few months later during a Nintendo Direct. Now of course, this doesn't have to necessarily apply to Mario and Luigi, but if Nintendo also cares about the opinions of their players through surveys and actually puts them into reality, then why not do the same thing for Mario and Luigi? I know the studio behind it went bankrupt, but honestly I can't really take this argument serious, as it's not really an excuse anymore in any capacity whatsoever to not bring it back, as people are definitely asking for more Mario and Luigi content. It's been 5 years now since Alpha Dream closed its doors, and times definitely changed, so I don't think it's too out of the window to think that maybe they're working on a new game, or at least a remake of Partners in Time, which to this day is the only game that didn't get a remake but is definitely in need of one, and I definitely welcome that. Long story short, I'm not gonna lose hope for the series return whatsoever. We just have to wait and see, but I will talk about it more in future videos. Also, before ending this video, I'd like to shout out some YouTubers who inspired me to make these types of videos, like Super Mario T, who's the speaker of the Mario RPG games, Arlo, who's a Paper Mario fanatic, and Lizard D, a lesser known but very cool YouTuber that I consider to be the lawyer of the Mario & Luigi series. These guys all inspired me to make this type of content, and I'm really grateful for that, so shoutouts go 100% to them. Anyway, that's it for this video. Stay strong, safe, and the most important thing, be confident in what you believe, because things you wish will only happen if you fight and believe for it. Anyways, thanks for watching, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more Mario RPG and Kagurabachi content, and see you next time. Bye.